127, and we're looking at equivalent equations, addition, subtraction rule for equations. So, let's start with our equivalent equations. So if you guys look at those equations that they gave you, you've got x equals 6, so that one's pretty obvious, right? What does x equal? 6. Easy enough, right? That's still an equation, though. It has an equal sign, has a variable and a number, okay? B, x plus 3 equals 9. We know if we do our math, we show our work, we figure out that x equals 6. 6 plus 3 equals 9, okay? X minus 3 equals 3. 6. We plug x for 6 in for x, because we know originally x equals 6. So all 5 of those are equivalent equations. Okay, that means that the x has the same value in each equation. Okay? So, that paragraph right there, equation A was the easiest. It told us the answer was 6. We didn't have to think. And all 5 equations are equivalent equations because equivalent equations are equations that have the same solution or answer. Okay? That brings us to our addition subtraction rule for equations. So you guys have already been practicing solving for x and our equations like that. Okay? Some are very easy to solve, as you guys have seen. Some get a little bit more tricky. Alright? But we can always calculate our numbers. If we know what we need to undo to get our x, or our variable by itself, we'll be able to figure it out. Like x plus 3, we said x plus 3. So what's the opposite of plus, Destiny? Minus. So we take away whatever was added to x to begin with on both sides. So whatever we do to one side, we always have to do to the other side. If we had x minus 3 equals something, Portia, what would you need to do to get rid of that x minus 3? How do you get rid of that x minus 3? Add how many? 3. Good. Add 3. Beautiful. Now if we had x divided by 3 equals something, how are we going to get x by itself? If we had divided by 3, what would we do? Multiply by what? 3. Perfect. And last but not least, Jamaica, if we have x times 3, what are we going to do? Divide what? Divide what? Which pins down, please? Down. Clean up. Down.
This is comfortable. I'm paying attention. I'm listening to it.
Playing with your pencil. Need you to focus. So, 3x, so 3 times x. How would we get x by itself?
3 divided by 8, so x divided by 3.
X divided by 3. Perfect. Got to do the opposite. So if it was x times something, we do the opposite. Divide, get x by itself. Okay? So if we look at that box, I need all eyes on the box on page 127. We always got to look at those boxes and make sure. I need all eyes on the box on page 127. Portia, where's your book? Okay, so we've got our addition subtraction rule for equations. Alright, Damon, will you read us number 1, please? Alright, so that's what we've been doing. Whenever we add to one side, we have to add to the other side because that doesn't change our solution. That's the only way that we can keep our solution accurate. Okay, Portia, read us number 2, please.
The same rule from both sides of the equation without changing the solution.
Beautiful. So again, we have to subtract from one side. That means we have to subtract from the other side also to keep our equation equal on both sides. Okay? Just to drill it in your head, make sure you understand. We're going to say it in a million different ways, but they all mean the same thing. Okay? So we've got the addition property of equality and the subtraction property of equality. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. We either add or subtract. Okay? So we've got another example. X minus 3 equals 7. We work down the page. So Damon, how am I going to get my variable x by himself? What do I need to do? To get x by himself, what do I need to start with? Add. Add equal sign, I got to do to the other. So these cross off. If I draw my equal line, that's kind of what that means. Eyes up here, please, ladies. Okay, those threes cancel. The x drops. I've got my equal sign. X equals, and thank you, come on. X equals 10. Okay, so which of the two, the addition rule or the subtraction rule of equality, did we just use here, Portia?
Yeah. We did the
addition rule of equality. The addition and subtraction rules of equality. Okay? Because in order to keep both sides of the equal sign equal, we have to do the same thing. So that's why it's called the property of equality. To keep this looking good, we have to add to both sides. Okay? Alright, let's flip our page, 128. N plus 3 equals 7. So, what do I start with? Destiny? Subtract 3 where? From both sides. Beautiful. Here they cancel. We're left with n equals what? 4. So Jamaica, which rule did we just use to do this problem? Subtraction. The subtraction what? Okay, but we gave it a specific name. Subtraction property of what?
Oh, we don't need properties. Oh, Lord.
Subtraction property what?
Of equality.
Of
I
equality.
said equality.
Of equality. Because whatever we do to one side of the equal sign, we gotta do to the other to keep it equal. Okay? So, we get one that's a little bit more tricky. It involves fractions. Does anything change, Damon, when you see a variable with a fraction added to it? Does anything change, Damon?
No.
No. So what am I going to do to this? Subtract what? Subtract what? 3 over 4. Okay? These, when you write it, I still want you to work down the page. If you need to do this math over to the side so that you don't get too crazy caught up, we can do that. Because what's going to be our common denominator here, Portia?
Common denominator will be 4.
I have 11 and 4.
11. 44.
Okay, 44. So I'm changing 9 over 11 into 44. How many 44ths is that? Portia?
1.
Excuse me? 1. Where did that come from? Eyes up here, ma'am. Eyes up here. How do we convert fractions? We're expanding this
4
fraction.
times, so 9 times 4.
Which is?
36.
Jamaica,
Ah.
you have got to
She
stop.
asked me.
I don't care. You do not answer other people's questions, okay?
Yeah,
How many, Portia? Okay? You're still up, Portia. So if I need to subtract 3 over 4, how many is going to be? 33. Good. So what's the answer going to be underneath here? Jamaica? What's the answer going to be for my subtraction?
3 over 4.
Your name is not Jamaica. You either. When I change it to somebody else, it's their turn, okay? When I do this subtraction here, what's going to be the answer? 9/11 minus 3/4 is what?
Oh, I get confused. I don't even know where to start.
This is a line here. I've just moved this and written it horizontally for fraction subtraction. So 9/11 minus 3/4 is 36 over 44. You tell me, how do you subtract fractions?
You don't subtract. You don't know.
Okay, so what's my answer going to be? What am I going to put in this space?
4.
Okay, and what on the top?
So I was checking 3 or 3 and 9. Both of them?
You got to do the math that we showed up here. We did 9/11 minus 3/4 right here. 9/11 minus 3/4. We had to change them into 40/4. So we changed 9/11 to 36 over 44. We changed 3/4 over
33.
I'm going to put 33 right here.
Mm-hmm.
How come?
Because 36 minus 33. Oh, put 3.
Put 3, there it is. Put 3. Those canceled. I can just drop my y, put my equal sign in, so my y equals 3 over 44. Okay? My y equals 3 over 44. If you go back, and we do our math, we can plug this y in where it was originally. So 3 over 44 plus, we said our 3/4 was 33/4. We get, whoops, 36 over 44. When we reduce that, we get 9/11. So we can show our work plugging our answer back in to prove that it was correct. Okay? Last one, another fractional problem. Oh, I forgot to ask if that was the property of subtraction of equality or addition of equality, but I think you guys know both. So z minus 3/5 equals 2 over 10. What might I do first here? A little bit different than last time. What do you see? What could I do? Add up here, isn't it? I could add. I do want you guys always to be looking. One of the questions you can always ask yourself is, can I simplify before I start doing any work? Is there anything up here that I can simplify before I start doing any of the actual algebraic steps? Bessie's shaking her head. Does everybody else see it? Eyes up here. Because I asked if there's anything that could be simplified, and she's saying yes. What do the other three of you say? Yes. What would we simplify, Devon? 1/5. Good. So I'm going to just change that into 1/5 automatically. So now, if I've got z minus 3/5, Portia, what am I going to do? First. I've simplified now. I've gotten everything as easy as it can get. What am I going to do? Add what? Them two fractions. First of all, it's not correct English.
Okay.
Second of all, I need to be more specific. Your choice.
Those two fractions.
Those two fractions. Why am I going to add them?
Because we need to minus 3/5 to get to 1/5.
Right now it's z minus 3/5. So my job is
And we
always
need to
what?
figure out z.
We always need to get z by itself.
So then why we need to add 3 and 1 field. 3 field, 1 field. Add it up.
Okay. We need to add 3/5 and 1/5. I agree. But what do we need to do first? This side. I can't just take 3/5, pull it out of the hat, and add it to this side. We just need to make sure we're thorough with it. So, you're okay. So, z, Portia, how do we get z by itself? What do I need to do this side?
Yeah.
Sit up, Mika.
I'm tired of talking. We're talking all day.
So fix it. Just say the right answer, and then I won't call on you again for the rest of the lesson.
Okay. Okay. So I already got that other number. I need to put it on the other side.
Okay. What should I write?
You should write.
You're up here. We're focused. I don't want you to do anything else. Yes, I know, but that's not what we do during a math lesson. I need you focused.
3/5 and 3/5.
What about 3/5? What do I want to add, multiply, divide, subtract? Add them? Beautiful.
3/5 plus 3/5.
Okay, so I've got minus 3/5 plus 3/5. So what happens here, Damon? What happens here? They cancel. Good. So if I draw my equal sign, like we do when we add things, Jamaica. So those cancel. I can just drop my z and equal. And now, Jamaica, can I add my right side? Can I just work down? Can I add the fractions the way I've got them? Yes. And what am I going to get?
4 over 5.
Beautiful. Z equals 4 over 5. Alright, if we plugged 4 over 5 back in, 4 over 5 minus 3 over 5 would get us 1 over 5, so our Z is correct. Okay? So you guys have practice A, B, C, and D. Show your work.
That was
Work
quick.
down the page, just like this. Make sure you show working down, just like we do when we subtract. If we took 27 minus 18, we work down, right? That's what we're doing here. We're practicing the same thing. Even if we add it, we work down, okay? So, work down the page and show